Before we go into the reading, I would like to let you know that I do pre-shuffle, and I will lay out the cards ahead face down, and then I turn them over as I'm organizing the reading. So I did this in a compressed version so that you would be able to see how this works when the reading has unfolded. But I do a very thorough shuffling, cutting, and shuffling. I have very small hands, and so I have to do this process slowly, and I don't want to take up your viewing time having you watch me shuffle. So hopefully you understand that, and it doesn't take away from your sense of trust or question my integrity as a reader in just picking and choosing whatever cards I might like to use. So that's a little bit of a caveat for every reading that I do. And certainly when we do your card reading, I would operate in the same way. Okay. Hi, this is Anaiis. Welcome to my channel. Pardon the squeaky furniture, but you know, my place is lived in, and I have an antique desk. This is an example of a personal card reading. I pulled these cards today for myself because I was curious about the dynamics that have taken place in the last week in my own sacred union, and I did think it would be fun to do a spread for myself, which I haven't done before, and to ask some specific questions, not so much with regard to the future, but to get a sense of where, I've just noticed a wasp building a nest in my window, to get a sense of where we are in balance in the union. And I do have some very basic questions about, is my divine masculine aware? And so I've listed these questions, and these are questions that I could answer for you in a personal reading. We could pull a card for either your divine masculine or feminine, and this is the card that came out for me with regard to my divine masculine, and I recognize the energy of this card. I'm not worried about astrological signs. I'm dealing strictly with energy, and this is the energy of my divine masculine. He is very much in control of his emotions. He's very focused, and he is old school and not very expressive emotionally. So this is, for me, accurate choice in terms of where his energy is overall. So here's the spread, and there are additional cards which came out, and I'll bring those in as we come along. So this is a sense of where my divine masculine is in the energies, the current energies of his balance within his divine masculine and divine feminine within himself. So this feels to me like when he recognized that there was a connection, that he was feeling quite undecided about it. From a logical point of view, it didn't make any sense to him. But he did feel the connection, he did feel a chemistry and an attraction, and he's still sitting on this in terms of whether or not he wants to give this some form of active expression. Although we have come into agreement about certain things with regard to our mission. So he did immediately take action when we met, and he made sure to set us up into circumstances where we would get to experience each other with a little bit more depth and a little bit more clarity in a social setting. So he did immediately take that action. Once that happened, he then moved into what I would call the page of water energy, because he wasn't sure what to do with his feelings. And from my perspective, being younger, he wasn't quite sure how to approach what it was that we could do together. And while he's feeling the connection, he wasn't interested in going forward in any kind of a really clearly stated using words kind of way. It was just, let's just be in the energy of this. And so that was interesting for a while. And then I think he found that he was probably beginning to feel a little bit out of his depth in terms of the emotions that were calling to him, that he doesn't necessarily want to feel, but they're there to be felt. And in this card, I can see there's a sense of, I'm looking forward to having the full treasure find me, and my investment will be returned. So he's looking for his full complement of emotional life. And as that's happening, he's really recognizing that he's being called by this dynamic into his potential to be the emperor that he is in union. And this is how I experience him. I experience him as both King of Air, who is fast becoming the emperor. So it's a fun process for me to see that happening and to be on the feminine side of this dynamic. It's a very fun journey for me. It's complicated, but most of the time it's fun, and I feel lighthearted and happy about it. So the next card that came out was the Six of Water. And my feeling with the two of us is that we do realize that in our connection there is some past life information. This is a deep relationship, and we do have a profound past life connection. So we are reacquainting ourselves in this particular incarnation, and we are very carefully moving through the dynamics of whether or how or when we will continue, and whether we will continue in, and just pick up from our relationship where we left off. Now, where we left off what was just before a tremendous amount of trauma for both of us. So it's a delicate matter. But he's holding his own. Now, with this dynamic of exploring that there is a very, very, very profound and intense past life connection, he is really working to develop his intuition and to use his intuition to move through this dynamic with a great deal of heightened awareness, tenderness, care, compassion, and so gentle, such a really gentle energy, even though he's coming into this from an emperor's point of power. Okay. All right. And then working with the High Priestess and past life relationship information, he's really curious about the transformation that has happened and that is happening. And he's taking a really good long look at it. All right, now in taking a good long look at this, there has been communication. There is a kind of an agreement and an understanding about where we are on our timeline at the moment, and we are on the same page. And the transformation goes from 8 of Fire to 9 of fire. So he is giving this, as you can see here, this is someone who is very, very, very careful about the choices that he's making, because he's had, oh my goodness, he's had quite a series of intense journeys and gains and losses. And so he's being careful, he's taking his time, and he's looking at everything very carefully, but he is noticing that he's probably feeling more passionate about it than he would care to. And he is interested. And in my perspective, he has made some really beautiful commitments to discovering what the connection holds for both of us in terms of our mission. All right, so then I asked the question, what might be supporting this divine masculine in his journey of sacred union? And the card that came out is the Hermit. And being able to take the time within so that he can access this high priestess energy and really develop and work with it, so he's responding from his inner core when he is moving through the union and balancing his own inner masculine and feminine. So I think this actually represents him in balance in his spiritual journey within his own union within himself. This would be the masculine polarity of that, and this would be the feminine. So this is supporting his inner union. And then I asked the question of what was supporting his outer activity within the union, and the Page of Earth came up. And interestingly, this is the progression. The 9 of fire is progressing to the Page of Earth. So he's grounding this connection in a very lighthearted, playful way, and he's not being super serious about it, although he can be a super serious person. So there's a beautiful contrast amongst the aspects of him that I get to see, and I definitely get to see the Page of Earth aspect of him. And it is a beautiful way of balancing these energies that represent him in his masculine aspects. So the Page of Earth is balancing his King of Air, and it is bringing him and keeping him in balance as he's progressing and transforming into the Emperor. So while he's an old soul and he's a very wise being, he's just making this transition into the Emperor, in which he becomes all of the kings, and he himself is a manifester with earth, air, fire, water. So this is really interesting, because for me, this is a reflection of the divine masculine, the external, the divine masculine that I am in relationship with currently. Okay. So that's the basic information. Then the next question I asked was, who is his divine feminine, and is he aware of meeting her in 3D? And this is the card that came out. This is the Moon card, which is symbolic for the energy of Cancer and Pisces. And this is my energy. I am a Cancer sun with a Pisces moon. So this felt very appropriate in terms of, yes, there's a recognition. Then the next question I asked was, how does he feel about his DF? And the card that came out was here, that he is, because we are still exploring our relationship, and it is still a process of logic for him, and he's still holding on. In a sense, he hasn't completely surrendered to this journey yet, but he does recognize that there is an opportunity for sunshine and for light, and a wonderful balanced exchange. As you can see, the balance that is holding this structure aloft is balance between right and left. So, and the feminine is sitting atop the structure, so he's comfortable with that inner dynamic leading him. Then the next question I asked was, how does he feel about the union? And what came out was the House of Flowers. This comes out to a 9, it's number 36. And this is a very beautiful image of growth and expansion. So he feels from these cards, from my sense of who he is and from the information I'm getting, is that he feels and he perceives that this union is a solid structure, but it is one that encompasses nature and allows all to expand. There's room for both of us in this house. So I think that's kind of an interesting message. Then the next question I asked was, what is supporting him? How is the Divine Feminine supporting him, and does he recognize this happening in the conscious interactions in union? And what came out was the Moon Dance. And so this, for me, is recognizing that he is aware of our dance together, and he is in the element of air, and he is holding on to the union. And it is moving him forward. And he's in balance. So I think that's pretty beautiful. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. And then I asked the question, what is supporting him in this union? And this card, the Art of Seduction, came out, and this for me in this card deck represents the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine in union together, in their co-creative energies together. So I think that that is pretty clear. He's feeling the co-creative potential with our mission. And then the last question I asked was, what does he want his Divine Feminine to do to keep them in balance, to keep us both in balance in the union? And this card came out, and this is very, very, very. This was a surprise. I haven't seen this card come out before. This is the number 7. It is pure nature, and here we have this beautifully simple, gentle, feminine energy. Naked and exposed except for the flower that she's wearing, which for me is symbolic of Gaia. And this is pure nature, and what the Divine Masculine is asking for is for her to help him balance these two energies in his own inner and outer world. And this is a pretty powerful expression of what the union looks like in the 3D environment. You can see that he's still gazing forward. He's looking straight ahead. He's very businesslike, and she is right by him and making sure that he is feeling her love and inspiration coming into his life as a friend. And even though he may find that seductive, she's doing it from a place of pure nature. Okay, so this is an example of a quick personal reading that I would be happy to do for you. And again, I am coming from this place of sacred union being a journey of union between Source source energy, the divine feminine, and the divine masculine coming into balance together in the three-dimensional world in all of their subtle bodies. So I'm going to leave it there. I think this is really a nice example of how this can work out. If you just come with, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions, and this is a 12-card spread plus a few clarifiers as we get into the specific answers to the questions. But it gives you a general sense of where the energies are at the time of the reading. Okay, so that'll do it. And if you like this and you'd like to book a personal reading with me, the information is in the description below. Thank you for watching.